This morning, a community shattered less than 24 hours after a deadly mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jason Hackett alongside Lauren LeMancha.
Minnesotans, many of you waking up this morning with so many questions about yesterday's tragedy. Right now, memorials are growing for the two young children shot and killed during a back-to-school mass. The church is located near the intersection of Lyndale Avenue South and West Diamond Lake Road. The shooter opened fire on the kids through a stained glass window from outside the church, injuring 17 others before taking their own life. This morning on Sunrise, we'll share what we know about the investigation and the shooter, plus hear from some survivors in the community. And we'll also have information on how you can help as our community picks up the pieces. Right now, our reporters are standing by outside the church in Minneapolis with our team coverage.
In about 2 minutes, we're going to hear from Audrey Russo with reaction from the community. But first, let's get to Michelle Beck with the latest details on the investigation. Michelle.
Well, Jason, Lauren, good morning to you. I can tell you that the nation is grieving with South Minneapolis this morning. I can tell you that because we have national media behind us as well as down the entire block. Why don't I give you a picture of what this street is looking like? We're standing just directly from the school, Annunciation School. You can see that right here to my right. And that from covering this yesterday, I can tell you that is the biggest change because this block yesterday was covered by law enforcement. And continue panning over to the left, you can tell we are just steps away from Annunciation Church, where police say a lone gunman started firing at worshipers through the windows. What the Annunciation Church calls an impossible situation began just before 8:30 yesterday morning. Police say the bullets killed two children. They were 8 and 10 years old. Injured by the gunfire were 17 other people, most of whom were kids from the Annunciation School. They were sitting in the pews for a special mass in the first week of the new school year. Police say the shooter came dressed in black with camo pants, armed with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol. The 23-year-old suspect died by suicide, but before they did, police say they barricaded doors to the church and fired through the windows.
Within seconds of this situation beginning, our teachers were heroes. Children were ducked down. Adults were protecting children. Older children were protecting younger children. And as we heard earlier, it could have been significantly worse without their heroic action.
And we often come to these and say, these unspeakable tragedies, or there's no words for this. There shouldn't be words for these types of incidents because they should not happen. And there's no words that are going to ease the pain of the families today. On behalf of all the people.
I just checked, and in the most recent statement, the Annunciation Church writes to the community, you need to know that within seconds of the shooting, our heroic staff moved students under our pews. Church officials also say this morning that investigators will be here on this block at this church, at the school. They will be here for some time as this community continues to mourn. Back to you.
Michelle, thank you. Well, among the many questions this morning, who was the person who opened fire and what could have possibly motivated this evil act? Our investigative team has worked to gather new information about Robin Westman, the person identified as the shooter. Westman left behind a rambling and violent written statement in a mix of Russian Cyrillic script and English. Also pictures of guns that appear to be painted with mass killers' names, threats against President Trump, racial and religious slurs, self-loathing, and wishes to die. Notes detail how Westman planned the shooting, buying the firearms, and visiting the church to do recognizance. There is a hand-drawn sketch of Annunciation Church in the video, and a knife stabs that sketch. Court records show the shooter had minimal history, but we did find a name change. In 2020, while still a minor, the shooter's name was changed to Robin. Records said, quote, minor child identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification. Now, for what we've seen in the diaries, the individual's gender identity is not listed as a specific motivating factor of the shooting.
This morning, we are continuing to hear from people right here in the Twin Cities still reeling from the shooting. Audrey Russo continues our team coverage near Annunciation School with those reactions. Audrey.
Yeah, Jason, Lauren, I'm standing about 1 block down from Annunciation. I'm standing at the intersection where yesterday I watched so many families wait to reunite with their child, hoping against hope that their kid was unharmed. And now you can see behind me, this intersection has become a makeshift memorial to the victims and their families. This shooting combined two of the most vulnerable places where a person can be, in a school and in a church. Concerns now are swirling about the safety of those settings, and this is what community members and elected officials are reacting to this morning. In the minutes and hours after the shooting, emotions rippled out like a shockwave. We heard from the parent of an injured student asking for more security protocols to prevent tragedies like this. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, was practically choked up, saying that safety shouldn't come with doubts. But a youth minister who was at that mass had some of those doubts. She described her immediate suspicion that the sound she was hearing was gunfire, and she says that that was an instinct that she had honed from watching headlines like this one.
And I was, like in a pew, and the window's right here, so that pew I got underneath and just really hid my body and covered my head, and it completely saved my life. Unfortunately, yes, my first instinct was this is gun violence.
These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country. I'm so deeply saddened, and I'm so sorry to the families that I know are suffering right now.
Mayor Frey went on to say that the city needs to support these families now and in the future, especially as many parents prepare to send their kids off to their first week of classes, no doubt with some apprehension. Back to you.
It's something that's on every parent's mind this morning, no doubt. Audrey, thank you. This morning, we're also hearing incredible stories of survival.
And that includes one family whose son witnessed it all, and they say they want his story to be told. That young boy spoke to our Lou Ragoose.
It was really scary.
10-year-old Weston Halsney had just sat down at Annunciation Catholic School's Mass to mark the first week of school.
And then it was maybe 3 minutes in, the first shot fired.
The first shot of dozens, as Weston and his schoolmates scrambled to hide under the church pews.
Right beside me, I was 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. So they were the shots were right next to me.
That's scary.
Yeah.
You went under the pew after that happened?
Yeah. And
Is
then
that what everyone tried to do?
I think I got gunpowder on my neck.
Gunpowder on his neck, in his life, saved by a friend.
My friend Victor saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit. My friend got hit in the back.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay.
From the church where the shooting took place, Weston and the student body evacuated to the gym.
We went to the gym, and then the doors locked just to make sure he didn't come.
By then, the shooter was already dead.
And then the police were really good because they showed up really quick.
Weston's grandpa says their family is doing as well as anyone can after what happened.
When it happens to your own children, then you're going to think very differently about this. And there's only one way to think about it. And there's nothing this precious little boy ever did to deserve this.
That much is obvious.
You get reunited with your parents?
Yeah, my mom was waiting outside of the church when it happened.
Yeah.
And then
What was it like seeing her?
I was super happy because I was scared that I wasn't gonna see her because I didn't know what was happening really. I was just in shock.
After telling his story, Weston had a message for all the victims who are hospitalized.
I hope you're okay, and I'm praying for you.
Weston's an incredibly brave little boy, as is his friend Victor, who laid on top of him. And it just sort of breaks you to hear that interview with a 10-year-old and knowing another child felt like they had to sacrifice themselves to save him.
A 10-year-old should never know what it's like to have the sensation of gunpowder on their neck. It just makes your stomach turn.